Skills in Diablo 4 with Unstoppable removes and prevents all crowd control. Like, it literally gets you out of being stunned. And Immune is the same as Unstoppable, but it usually lasts for a few seconds, and during that time you take 0 damage. Anything that is vulnerable takes 20% extra damage. The enemy life bar glows purple to indicate that they're vulnerable. And if you're vulnerable, you have a purple crack in your life globe. Crit in Diablo 4 means you have a 5% chance to do 50% bonus damage. You can increase both of these numbers with skills and gear. When you see a yellow damage number, you know you just got a critical strike. Note that crit can't proc on damage over time skills like Firewall, for example. Certain items and skills give you a barrier. It turns your life globe blue, and enemies have to get through the barrier before you start losing life. As you get attacked with the barrier active, the blue outline will slowly go down, and once it's at the bottom, you start losing life again. Fortify is a way to get tankier. Basically, it's a form of damage reduction. It makes your life tougher to get through, but only when your current amount of Fortify is higher than your current life. This is indicated by the shield around your life globe, which means that you are now fortified, and whatever damage you take while this shield is there will be reduced by 10%, or even more than 10% depending on your gear and skills. Your attacks in Diablo 4 have a fixed, unscalable 3% chance to overpower, although some effects can guarantee you to overpower. It's basically a type of crit that does more damage the more life and fortify you have. Whenever you see a light blue damage number, that's overpower. Or if you happen to overpower and crit with the same attack, the damage number will be in orange. When you attack, you have a chance to trigger lucky hit effects. The percentage of that chance depends on the skill you're using, since each skill has its own lucky hit percent. So let's say you're using a skill that has a lucky hit chance of 50%, and you have an item with an effect that says there's a 20% chance to stun an enemy when you lucky hit. Then that skill will stun enemies on average 10% of the time. You're basically rolling 2 dice. First one to see if you trigger lucky hit, then another one to see if you trigger the effect itself. Now, if you don't have any lucky hit effects in your gear or skills, then nothing will happen when you lucky hit. And since you can also boost your chance to lucky hit with your gear and other passives, things get way more complicated as this boost is applied multiplicatively. Here's the lucky hit equation that the game uses. If your skill has a 50% chance to lucky hit and your gear and passives together boost your lucky hit by 20%, each of your attacks with that skill will have a 60% chance to lucky hit. And let's say you're using 2 pieces of gear with lucky hit effects, one with a 5% chance to instantly execute an enemy and one with a 5% chance to stun the enemy. You end up with a 3% chance to execute and a 3% chance to stun each time you attack using that skill. Okay, on to something a little simpler. Close enemies mean that they're within melee range, and distant enemies mean that they're outside of melee range. Healthy is when you or the enemy has over 80% life, and injured means under 35% life. There's a long list of things that count as CC or crowd control, basically anything that affects the enemy's ability to move or attack. Now, bosses don't get affected by CC. Like, you can't slow the Butcher, for example. But all CC skills add to the stagger bar underneath the boss's health. And once that little yellow stagger bar is full, the boss falls to the ground for a couple seconds. And in this state, until that blue bar goes to 0, they are affected by all CC types at once. The special effect in orange text on a legendary item is what's called an aspect. There are 2 ways to come across a legendary aspect. You either just find a legendary item, or you unlock it by completing specific dungeons for the first time. You can extract the effect from a legendary you find, and now that the aspect is loose, this allows you to then imprint it onto any rare item to make it legendary. Note that aspects you've extracted from items are a one-time use, so once you've imprinted it into a rare item, the aspect is now used up and you can't extract it again. Your Codex of Power is basically a collection of all of the aspects you've specifically unlocked from dungeons. Evade is the barrel roll dodge ability that every class has by default in Diablo 4. Murmuring Obols, I call them Oreos. It's a purple type of currency that you use to gamble gear. Cellars are indicated by the trapdoor per icon on your map. These are quick to complete, like 1 minute or less, and your average reward is a golden chest. Dungeons have a gate as their icon, and these are slower, like 5 minutes give or take, but at the same time they come with a bigger reward than a cellar. Strongholds have a red skull icon, and there's only a few in each zone. Once you've completed a stronghold, you can't do it again. You basically turn an enemy camp into a friendly town. Open world events are indicated by a red circle on your map. They happen on fixed spots around the world, and they are public events, meaning you might run into other players and you can complete the objective together. Usually takes like 1 minute or two. The world boss starts at a specific time. Your map will give you a heads up if you're paying attention, and once you go to the location, you automatically join a group of other players to fight it. The Altar of Lilith. There are hidden collectibles around the world that give you renown for that area, as well as boost things like your stats and maximum Obols capacity. So what is renown? You get renown points for exploring more of the map and doing various tasks, like finding those hidden altars or completing a stronghold. The renown points you get are tied to each zone in the world, and each zone has 5 stages of rewards. Some rewards are account-wide, while others are specific to each character. There are 3 types of quests in Diablo 4. The main quests are golden, like the main story, the campaign. There are priority quests, they're light blue, and these introduce or unlock new features like the class-specific quests at level 15 and or 30, or the basic tutorial quest at the start showing you how to upgrade your potion, etc. And then the classic side quests, these have a dark blue icon. The more of these you complete and the more of the zone that you explore, the more of these side quests will become available to you. The rewards range from XP and gold to crafting materials or Oreos. Once you complete the campaign, you unlock a Capstone Dungeon. It's longer and more challenging than a regular dungeon, but once you complete it, you unlock the next tier difficulty. Unique items are the rarest items to find in Diablo 4. There's only a few of them that exist. They always have the same name and roll with the same affixes on them. Sacred and ancestral items are better versions of all items. Let's say the normal items you pick up can roll up to 20% fire resistance. A sacred item would be able to roll 30% and ancestral 40%, in theory. In the endgame, you'll start finding items called nightmare sigils. These sigils are tied to specific dungeons, and you can use these sigils to turn regular dungeons into nightmare dungeons. This adds special modifiers to it, like increasing the danger of the monsters inside and providing better loot. The Tree of Whispers gives you quests with the reward being a cache of your choice, full of one specific type of gear. Helltide Areas is a PvE event with extra strong monsters. Fields of Hatred is a specific zone for PvP where you need to navigate both killing monsters and other players, all whilst collecting shards that need to be purified. After you reach level 50, you go beyond your standard skill tree and unlock the Paragon Board. As you progress, you'll access multiple boards that can be strategically spun to your preference. You get 4 Paragon points each time you level up between level 50 and 100, and these points can be spent on various nodes, normal, magic, or rare nodes. And a few nodes will be glyph sockets. This means you can put a glyph inside it that will boost your character based on the surrounding nodes. Feel free to share this video with your Diablo friends, and come back to this video whenever you're looking for clarity about some Diablo 4 terminology. And you can use the timestamps to find what you're looking for.